Hello, everyone. This is welcome to Who's weekly online harmony session. And it is about helping changemakers to have an amazing week and also revisiting at the same time part of what makes our life amazing and how we can thrive. How can we really be the best version of ourselves and at the same time have the success that we want to offer to the world so that we can care for all the people around us and making a difference in the world. So let's start with our presentation of today. So the format usually is we have a few slides around the topic of the day. Today, it's about time. And then we offer to people the ability then to ask questions. And I'm looking forward to be able to answer them. And I hope that this is going to be of interest to you and to help you in your day-to-day life. So let's see. Let's see. I see that already we have Karanvir. Hi, Karanvir. That has been quite a long time. And Celine, amazing. And Etienne, thank you all for being there. I hope that you will get entertained at the very least. So time. The concept of time is quite interesting. And I want to share with you how it is that we can use time for a better purpose, for enable ourselves to live happily, enjoy in flow, and succeed in our endeavors. But first, let me talk to you about where does all that come from. So in the past 30 years, I've created what I call the Heartful Method, which is a method that enables each individual or companies to go from a place of cacophony to a place of symphony. So how can we create our own symphonic business? That's what it is all about. So if you feel like an ant, feel imprisoned in my life is bleak, I lost my path, or like a particle, the others or the situations are bothering me, I'm a victim, or you're repeating the same negative thoughts and patterns all the time, you probably are a bit in cacophony. You see all these notes there that are a bit without any order, and that is usually not conducive to a thriving. So what if we could actually have another type of life? And that life is about harmony. So feeling like an eagle, transcending the day to day, having a life that is a dance of love, of happiness, of flow, more importantly, and feeling that place of oneness where both the business and the private are all together in a constant flow, and we are able to free ourselves from all the different hurdles and struggles we have. There is no more patterns that are limiting ourselves. So my life becomes a pure vibration. And I'm centered more and more and more in my joy self. I am at peace with myself, and everything conspire to a more successive a business and life. So it has worked for many, many persons and CEOs of startups. So I invite you to look at it if you are interested. It's all about living in harmony with ourselves, with our environment, with people that we love, and everybody also. And so if you are interested, go to tapwat.com/heartful method, H method, and look into it if you wish to see if we can work together. So let me go into time. So I like to start with a poem first, and the poem is coming from the book I that I wrote last year, and it is a revisiting, a redefinition of time. Crawling away from its womb, I is born. Segregated self, moment to moment, I gets torn off itself. As the father of all duality, mother of all steps, time brings solace to thy journey towards I. From naught to infinite, from love to love, such are the steps to nirvana. Blessed are the moments, setting apart the experience of the whole, so that I can find the epitome of its dreams. So this poem helps us to maybe have a different understanding and perception of the role of time in our life, where each step, each moment is an opportunity for me to know myself and to experience another aspect of myself on that journey towards myself. And this is quite powerful because it enables me to focus on the now moment all the time and really experience the depth of each moment as much as we want and allow ourselves to do. And that opens up new potentials of manifestation that are quite surprising most of the time, because we are really receiving things that we're not expecting, but that are always in the perfect alignment with what we need. So let's see how a consciousness is born, right? In our life, we have consciousness that is start from a place of infinity. It is all possibles. And then as it comes into the material world, it chooses a family, it is conceived, and then birth of our physical body happens. And within that scope, we have lost already a lot of aspects of ourselves. However, starting from 7 years old onwards, we go through a specific funnel that enables us to have what we call the human experience. So from birth to death, as you can see here, we have that life that goes through many ups and downs, back and forth, and we have these choices we make to go in one direction or another. That's what we call whether autopilot most of the time or conscious choices. And it is our game in this lifetime to see which are the choices we want to make consciously. It's like as if your heart wanted to stop to beat, right? That wouldn't be that fun, but it does it automatically on autopilot. Now, maybe you can have access to another aspect which allows you to explore what could it be to live with maybe two hearts, or to live without being conditioned by an old belief system that has been producing its same pattern again and again. So the whole work that we are, and the discipline that we may choose if we want to, is to find awareness in every single moment as much as we can, accept what it is, and then love it for what it is. And that is a place from which you can make more and more choices that will open up more and more aspects of your lives that you were not even dreaming of. And this is the promise that we have in all the different religions, on this planet, and philosophies for that matter. And it actually works. So if you feel inclined to, you should really, really try it. And this is a bit what I experienced myself throughout my life, where I was really living several rebirths to myself throughout, the different periods of my life in the past 50 years. And throughout that process, the definition of I that was at first a teenager and then becomes a young adult, etc., was also starting to grow, meaning including more than just this physical body, this mind, these emotions, but also, this environment, the people around it. And that is a path that we can decide to have. As we do so, as we do these rebirths, we go from one octave of ourselves to another. We actually not only grow, but we lighten ourselves. In other words, our vibration frequency grows and it becomes easier and easier. And at the same time, the potentials are opening up more and more and more. So this is the process on which we all are. This is called life. And it's for us to decide what we want to do with it, right? what is the scope of what we want. And so another way of looking at it, looking at time, is from that moment of birth. Again, we are actually, through the spiral of time, each moment being one facet of this spiral, we actually explore one little aspect of our consciousness. And this is quite important because it also explains why we have these patterns. These patterns are like waves. They go from the ocean to the shore, and then they recede and they come back. It's not exactly the same wave, but it is all still a wave, right? So we still have the consciousness of the ocean, but each wave is a slightly different from the preceding one, and it's a bit like this for our lives. So you see the pattern. So some patterns are staying, some are receding and go away, etc. So the whole idea there is we may have a chance of choosing the patterns we want to live by. And when we take back that power, it starts a huge transformation to free yourself from the repetitive thoughts, the repetitive patterns, the limiting beliefs and situations you may be in, and enabling to really free up manifestations that are there for you but were not available yet. So time has that unique property of allowing us to do that. So it's really a blessing. We just have to figure out how exactly we want to manage it. And it's not about all in the future nor all in the past. It's just to be here now. So each moment is like a frame in this in these frames, right? Each moment is this one and then that one and so on. So what do we want to do with that moment? What is it that we want to visit, to revisit of ourselves? What is the experience I want to have of myself in this moment? Whether it is with a person, in a conversation, whether it is me working, etc. What is my intention? Time is allowing that to happen. So let's use it for that purpose. And so also, as I mentioned earlier, throughout time, we see these patterns. They come and they go. If you look at your life, you could see some things that are more important. For instance, in my case, I was for a long time in technology. That's a pattern. Another pattern is I'm a guy. That's a pattern too. Or I like to be kind, etc. So these are patterns, and there are other patterns, like I like to think negatively every now and then. It's another pattern. So what if the thing is, when you have a limiting pattern active in my life, until it is disabled or transformed, it will repeat itself across time. It's like a wave. Again, it spreads out and continues until the energy runs out. Well, patterns are doing exactly the same thing. And we don't really want to have them finish their course, because it becomes denser and denser, and therefore it goes into the emotional body, the physical body. We really want to be catching them as soon as we can and shift them so that we adopt and choose a more expansive one instead of a more limiting one. So this eye that we're talking about, or an eye, right, only looks at a series, or is open to receive a series of patterns that are limited by its own belief systems. So what if we change one belief, and therefore we open up that possibilities of events to some more? And that's the game we are in, which is everything is possible and in our hands. What if we change something here, a little thing here, a little belief system, and then all of a sudden we change our scope, we open it up, and we allow ourselves to explore more. So what is it that you can open up to? What is it that you would like to see as being the new you, that new type of experience you would like? And we're talking about very, very material and you know, day-to-day life. Is it that you would like to experience more prosperity, or that you have an amazing job or an amazing partner, etc.? And it's better to be a bit more specific than that. And that is possible. The only factor that is limiting that possibility is you. And there are belief systems you can let go of and change that. And with the power of time, we have the ability to revisit all that, change it again and again and again, and see the effects happening before our eyes. And all happens in the now moment. It's not happening in the future. It's not happening in the past. It's all happening this now moment. So being in the stories of the past won't help you. Being in the expectations of the future would not help you either. You still can have a vision and you want to go in a certain direction, yes. But the important bit is to be in the frame of now and being inspired by these visions in this moment, and do whatever little bit you can do for that now. And experience to the fullest you can this very moment, because it's the only one that you have. It's not the one that you can see on your watch that may happen 15 days from now, or 10 years for that matter. And definitely not either the ones that you have gone through already. But if you see how, from the past to the future, if you look at, the line of your life and how it has grown in the past few years or decades, it's amazing. You've done an amazing job at becoming a better version of yourself. So what if you could accelerate that? That would be also amazing. And that's the whole idea here, to really focusing in this now moment. You can start really becoming more and more in tune with yourself, and therefore less and less limited by whatever is holding you back. And that's the invitation of this session. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So a little tool that may be of help is one made of 3 sections. I call that the triangle of awareness. So at the tip over there, it's when we are so focused that we completely forget ourselves. And for instance, I'm in these future expectations. I'm looking at what's going to happen in the next 10 years, and whether it's, in humanity level or for myself, and I'm hypnotized by it. And the same happens with past stories. Oh, these dramas I had, and the accident I had at that time, etc. We can lose ourselves in it. We disperse ourselves. We have less awareness. By becoming more and more focused on the now moment, you really open up to more and more potentials. So I hope that, I know I'm repeating myself, but I hope you get the message. Open up to this moment, and you'll definitely realize all the surprises it holds for you. And so anyway, let's start the conversation. I hope that you enjoyed the first aspect of it, and let's see how all this is unfolding. Is there any question I may be able to answer? Now, did I share my screen? I'm not sure. Hello, hello.
Yeah, you didn't share your screen.
Thank you, Todd. Well, let's start again. If you listen to everything, then I can probably be a bit shorter. Oh boy. Okay. So let me share the slides now and see. Now I have a screen sharing happening, and I have the slides. Here we go. Thank you for being patient to start with. And so here are the slides. So I was talking first about the Heartful method, and so just introducing the Heartful method for the people that are listening, the cacophony, where we're coming from, and where we can head towards, have clarity, have that oneness between the work and the personal life, being at peace with ourselves, and more importantly, being in a growth mindset, right? I think that's in flow with ourselves. So we choose harmony, which is more coherent, more aligned. And so the URL is Heartful Method. The poem, I read it, so that's good. And so the consciousness funnel is what I was describing earlier. Consciousness is infinite by default. And then as it comes into focus in this reality to create you, for instance, it starts to have a more and more probability to exist in a physical vessel, and therefore start to exclude part of itself and identify further and further with this reality. And when we zoom in to this period of time, which is the physical period, we enter that funnel between birth and death of the physical vessel. And that's where we have these choices that we can do consciously or unconsciously. It's our choice, obviously. And the possibles are always defined by the core beliefs that we hold dear to, whether these archetypes, our families, et cetera, but we can always explore and expand from them by applying awareness, acceptance, and love to each now moment. And then we continued with this chart here, illustrating the rebirth of I throughout one's life. So as we grow up, physically speaking, our I can follow the same course and grow, including more and more of itself, not just identifying with this physical body, but then the emotions, and then the thoughts, and then the loved ones, and then the people, etc., etc. And as we go along as well, we grow in terms of frequency, and therefore everything becomes lighter. And so then I was illustrating this idea of thanks to time, we are able to explore one little aspect or another one of ourselves. And this is an amazing property that time has for us. And so I was talking about the frames, and here illustrating this idea that, patterns, limiting beliefs are waves that are going across time, and they get more and more strength. And when they do, they get denser and denser. And if we don't take them in time and change them and shift them, then they become more and more dense, and they become more emotional, and then more physical. And that's where we get our illnesses and accidents and everything that happens in our lives. So what if we can actually take action and make choices that are more conscious and change that pattern to an expansive one? So there I was showing this cloud of all potentials that is always at our disposal, but we first start with a narrower point of view that we can expand according to our choices, thanks to time. And then this is probably the main chart, the one we don't want to forget, which is that when we are identified to our past stories, or we're looking at always to our future expectations, we're not exactly where we should be. We should be most likely more in the now moment, because that's where the miracles happen. That's where you can really make your conscious choices and you're not dispersed, you're focused on this moment. And that's where you are able to open up to choose positive patterns instead of limiting ones. And then the triangle of awareness, same story from a slightly different angle, which is that the most potential is in now moment. The more I go up in that triangle, the less awareness there is, the more dispersion there is, and the less focus there is. By focusing on now, on this very little step in this moment, I am really able to expand my experience, my potentials for the next moment and the next moments with an S, and to be able to have a fullest experience possible of ourselves. So this is, I believe, the last chart. So we kept up. I'm going to stop the sharing at least. Here we go. Amazing. It worked. So was it clear? Is there any question related to the charts themselves?
Well, it's pretty esoteric, high.
Yeah, true, very true.
So I mean, now one thing I caveat, because this is a different time. I'm in California now. I do have a 9:30 standing Monday meeting.
In 3 minutes then. Well,
Yeah,
we can have another chat later.
Yeah. So this is a different time. But it sounds like the idea is what I'm getting is does everything just come together as long as we're present in the moment?
Yes.
So
you have to trust.
And we don't really have to do anything above and beyond that.
What you have to do is, if it is your choice, is to be inspired by whatever is needed in that moment. And you have to act on that, right? So it's not like you sit and you don't do anything. No, it is, I am now, I'm here, and something emerges at some point and I want to, it is needed to be done. And therefore I do it, or think it, or etc.
Right. So in terms of business strategy, in business strategy, we're making decisions today in the hopes that there'll be an outcome in the future, as opposed to just sitting in front of my computer, being present, waiting for something to happen.
Yes.
So it has to be an intention and an action. So how do those align? Meaning,
so you may be inspired in one moment to create a vision with some purposes, right? So you create a direction, and then at another moment, inspired by such direction, you are all of a sudden inspired to call someone that you didn't think about, or you receive an email and you answer it, right, etc., etc. So in other words, you set up an intention, which can be for the next month, right? Because we still have time to handle. But once you have set up the intention, you're not looking anymore at the result every single moment or every single day. You are focused on being the best you can be now and do the best action you can do at that moment. And once you have reached the end of the month, to take that example, you have realized that you have done a lot of different things that you couldn't think about, or you would have be inspired to do this and this and that. That brings you to the place you wanted to do, or another place that is actually better than the one you were in, which not necessarily means that you have made more revenue, to take that example, but it creates a stronger foundation. I don't know. It depends, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you're still being present and assessing what the options are, and the idea is you'll make a better decision because you're more presently focused.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
So it's a bit counterintuitive, but that's the way it works best.
Yeah, it's because my default is to overthink everything,
Exactly.
which leads to paralysis. And
Mhm.
then I look back and nothing has changed.
It cannot change because you're always looking at the same thing and recycling all the time.
Right.
So it's time to break that habit and that pattern.
Right. And the way I break that pattern is I just allow. I stay present and I allow.
You set a clear intention, number one, and then you allow without insisting on what should be the result. Right? So you're not always looking back at what's the result. I mean, doesn't mean that you don't have to, if you're in sales, you will have to measure what is your success ratio and all that. Yes. But the more you're looking at it all the time, the less the needle is going to move. Like the idea with the boiling water, right? It's exactly the same concept there.
Right.
And I believe you have an appointment. Not that I want to get rid of you, but
No, yes, unfortunately, and this is more valuable than that is, but that's one of those things where I need to change. I'm still stuck in obligations that don't serve me. But
one step at a time.
yes. Yes. So I can't just not show up when because of a conversation with us. But that's the idea is I need to move the ship.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll continue this and that'll help me do that.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Have an amazing day, Todd.
Thank you. All right. Bye.
So if anybody has a question, please, please leave a comment and happy to answer any question on from our audience on LinkedIn. And yeah, so let me know what you think. If it is of service to you, please. And so yeah, any question? If not, well, we'll close down. What I could definitely share again is if you're interested by the Heartful Method, join us here. And what I was going to say, the whole idea here is to see how you can use on a daily basis these questions, like the one Todd was asking earlier, which is to see how we can apply this to our day-to-day. And we can do it in an easy way if we are, I guess, methodic about it and allow ourselves to grow with it and to act upon it. Meaning, as I said earlier, we set up an intention for whatever is the purpose we have, looking at time and looking at how we can grow our business, our family, etc. And once we do that, we just focus now on that now moment, and we will be guided all the time. It just happens, but it is difficult at first. It feels scary because we are not accustomed to that, I know, but it's in the end the best. It's the best way I know to illustrate how we can live our lives. So I see no questions, so I'm going to close this today, but I'm looking forward to see you next week. Have an amazing day. Bye.